Welcome to part 5 of Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1. We've got finished defeating chapter 1 and now we still have 7 more chapters to go. But we had to pick this up at the end of chapter 1 and at the beginning of chapter 2 to add on to more memory for us to at least have some available for whenever we get Nepgear and Ramen Ram, because the amount of memory that you're going to need for those two plans is 1026 megabytes apiece. Not to mention you need drops. I'll show you where they are along with the drops and the plan for Uni later on in chapter 7, because that's when those dungeons appear. Right now we're basically off the heels of a fight with Arfoire, who has been planting a CD in the caves, and those CDs bring out monsters. And Arfoire may be causing more trouble throughout game industry because she's also hunting down the key fragments. We just got one recently in the last part. So with that said, that just means 1 down, 3 more to go. We need all 4 in order for Histoire to actually be fully functional. But for the time being, they're just assessing all the damage, and we will have to go to Lastation for the next one, because obviously there's a key fragment in all 4 of the lands. I'm not really spoiling anything, that's just where we have to go. Meanwhile, Neptune's enjoying her pudding, and once again we have a cutscene where most of the characters do not talk. But that's the thing with Neptune. Pudding is going to be a addiction. Meanwhile, eggplants is going to be her kryptonite. No, I'm not kidding. Eggplants are her kryptonite, and Rebirth 3, or should I say Victory, whichever one comes first or whichever one you play first, doesn't matter, pretty much beat home that she does not like eggplants at all. So, unfortunately, IF is kind of teed off that Neptune can't stay in her HDD form because it drains her energy. Well, considering the fact that for the time being she has pretty low shares, it's kind of obvious as to why Neptune can't maintain that power. Not to mention, she really forgot who she was. And speaking of which, Compa and IF was pretty much confused as to who the person was that tried to attack them in the last part, which I already gave away. It was Arfoire. It really doesn't help that the game actually reveals who she is, like, after you finish chapter 1 in the Neppedia. I think the first battle, not the second. So, yeah. With that said, at least for the most part, we now have a mission objective to get the fragments before R4. And at that moment, I'm pretty much wondering why the hell I have so many pauses. I'm just trying to figure out why exactly that past me is just not pressing the button. Oh, right. I remember now. It was because of the fact that at the time of this recording, I didn't get a new controller. I got it as of part 8 and onward, so that would explain a lot. So, with that said, there's still one last thing we need to do before we actually get our DLC characters. And this one is exclusive to Rebirth because you're supposed to run into Nisa here, but thanks to Nisa breaking up, that's not happening.
It's a nice and warm day again, Mew. A nice cup of bitter hot tea would hit the spot, Mew.
Hello. Can I ask you something?
What, Mew? Is there something you want from Broccoli, Mew?
Oh, your name is Broccoli? You're so cute that I want to call you Puchiko.
It's Broccoli, not Puchiko, Mew.
Let's not split pairs, okay?
You're terrible at listening, Mew.
Anyway, I want to ask you, Puchiko, how do I get to Planet Tower? I'm supposed to go there, but, I don't know where it is.
Well, Mew, just head down here and you'll see a sign for it, Mew.
Sweet! Thank you! I've got to run now. Bye-bye!
I feel like I've met her before, Mew. Let me think a bit, Mew. Oh, that's right! That was Nep, Mew.
By the way, I meant to say Gust, not Nisa, but they're still kind of in the same boat, but a different situation. By the way, in the previous scene, that was Broccoli, who made her debut in Hyperdimension Neptunia Victory, and she replaced Gust. Instead of, like, swindling IF Compa and Neptune into the directions of the Planet Tower, she just tells them, hey, go that way. Big difference from the first game. But whatever the case, we're going to Lastation, and Lastation is going to be a well-known thing for people who have played this game and came here in Chapter 2. You'll probably be stuck here a while grinding to gain yourself up to level 20 if you haven't already done so. I think you should do that now, after all the cutscene happens, and more importantly, once you manage to move on with all of plot, it would be a wise idea for you to grind up to level 20 first before trying to advance any further into Chapter 2. Because if a certain fight later on doesn't kick your ass, the boss at the end of this chapter will more than likely do so. Now, for some reason, I should say, there was a lot of lag here, and it was very laggy for the most part when I recorded. I'm sorry if there was too much lag, but needless to say, we're here in the Basilicom, and I think I skipped a lot of things. And one other thing, everybody is mispronouncing Neptune's name, and her name is literally in the land. Her name is literally the landscape, basically. Everybody says Neptune or Neptunia or whatever, but they can pronounce Planeptune with no problem. It's kind of a weird thing, but it's somewhat of a joke that has been running things since the very first game. So, with that said, we can now go to Lastation and Planeptune freely. Now they got me saying it! God damn it! But whatever the case, the Planeptune Basilicom staff thought that Lady Purpleheart is still in Celestia and haven't came down yet. There's just one problem. She's standing right in front of you. However, it will be explained later as to why everybody thought that Planeptune's CPU has not descended yet. And yeah, Arfoire has a little bit to do with that, if not a lot. So on that note, I'll mention that later on. Right now, Neptune still believes in Purple Heart. So, that would mean that her shares would actually go up, right? Not so long as she has amnesia. If she doesn't actually hear the people's prayers, then she can't gain shares. Well, in the story. Outside of the story, that's not a big issue. All you have to do is repeatedly do quest over and over again, and you're gonna see your shares raise and see the opposition shares dwindle depending on what type of quest you do. Eventually it'll come to a point where I'm gonna have to jack up the shares to 50 for Neptune and also 50 for Louis, just in order for me to unlock Nepgear and Ramen Ram later on in the game. But the Silicon staff is starting to think, hey, Neptune looks familiar. But whatever the case, folks, now we've come to the reveal that yes, Arfoire was the person we ran into, and Arfoire has a connection to Histoire. Well, Histoire was trying to warn Compa and Neptune about Arfoire, but her powers was limited at the time because Arfoire was the one who sealed her away in a tome. Well, so long as Arfoire is in the vicinity, she can talk to Arfoire whenever she likes. Or whenever somebody's there. But if she has to use astral projection, she can't maintain the conversation for long. So whatever the case, folks, now we're in Neptune, and thankfully we do not have to go through the traveling system of the first game, where you have to literally go through a dungeon just to get to the next land. I had to say that is pretty much a pain in the ass in the first game. Especially if your CPU just so happened to kick the bucket while you're trying to go straight into the dungeon. Or should I say, the travel path. Because if they die in the travel path, hey, that counts against you in the first game of you going to the perfect ending. Thank God shares is not an issue in this game because you can still gain them back. But in the first game, if your CPU died at any time, oh God, you will never see those shares again. Bless God, we're playing the first game. Well, the reboot of the first game. Nonetheless, Lastation has been released. But not just that. We've got ourselves a plan. And we also got ourselves another plan as well. That was for the remake system. The strong enemies, the weakened enemies, and I think this one is... I forgot what that one was. I'm pretty sure I'll show it off a little bit later. But these oh yeah, destroy symbols. Definitely going to be needed whenever you don't want to deal with any enemies later on. Meanwhile, thanks to defeating Chapter 2, we now have Plutia, which, by the way, unlocks all of the clothes and also all of the items for Plutia. We've unlocked Peashy as well, and all the clothes and items for her, and we've unlocked Histoire as well. All that's left is going to be plans and also random people and information. That plan right there was for the Zeka Ruins #1. This also will increase, the plan right here also will increase plans for the items for Monster Cave. What Grant Monster has is the add enemies for Zeka Ruins #1, which I should turn on, because I gotta show off the enemy there later on in the gameplay as well, because there's two different types of enemies. But I'm pretty sure I've already unlocked that, which I've already did. So I could just turn that on right now. And by the way, you need boxer souls for that. At least 2 of them. And yeah, I need to wait until a lot of enemies, a lot of dungeons later on in the game unlock for me to unlock the rest of the ad dungeons there, because I'm going to show off as many powerful enemies as humanly possible, as well as normal enemies that are in the cave as well. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of showing off things, we'll be going to Metro Factory in Part 6. This is RVMan985. See you guys next time, because Metro Factory is going to be a grinding place where a lot of people will have to stick around to. Trust me, you're going to need all the experience you can get in this chapter. So, I'll see you guys in Part 6. Take care.